What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Bff Show. I'm Brendan.
I'm Franco.
And before we get into we have breaking news to cover because it literally happened almost before that we hit record. But before we get there, Franco, you are going to be involved in a race that sounds insane that you tried to get me involved with, and I said no because I don't like the cold. But it sounds insane, but you're doing it. So I give you a lot of credit.
Yeah, it's going to be this January. It's 32 miles in the Wisconsin wilderness along the Glacial Trail. Again, it's Wisconsin in January. So it's 32 miles within 12 hours, sub-0 degree temperatures. You can have no assistance, so no water given to you, nothing else, just you, your pack, and everything else for 32 miles. I'm doing it to raise money for the Community Partnership for Youth, which is a seaside-based organization that helps youth in our city and county area avoid the gang lifestyle and become productive and happy members of our society.
And so you said 32 miles, right?
Well, so the overall race is 62, and there's a 32-mile benchmark you can stop at, or 64. And so my goal right now is to make it to the 32-mile benchmark, but who knows how inspired I will be after 12 hours of running through the wilderness with a 15-pound back.
And you have to keep running. This isn't like do 6 hours, take a break, and then move on. You're expected to keep moving.
Yeah, you have to keep moving. It's a single path trail, so if you were to stop in the middle of the trail, you'd have a really hard time.
And it's expected that there'll be snow.
Yes. So the trail is not maintained. So at some points, they've said the snow could be up to 5 feet deep. So that'll be super fun. Wading through the snow, hoping for the best.
Now, are you doing any kind of GoFundMe type deal?
I am. I'm doing a GoFundMe for CPY. I will put the web address under my face as I speak right now. So it'll be right underneath there. Right now, we've only raised $340 for our $5,000 goal, but it's early on. We still have 2 months, so I'm eager.
Cool. So keep us posted on your training because you've been doing some training, right?
I have. I've been putting around 50 miles in a week. In addition to CrossFit, actually that's it. CrossFit and 50 miles a week. I put in 10 miles today. So
I do 4 miles on the bike at LA Fitness, and then I'm done. And I'm just mentally and physically exhausted. So I'm not built for this. So I give you a lot of credit. But you got to keep us up to date on everything, and then we'll keep doing updates on the show too. Training regimen. If you have tips,
yeah.
How can you make the world and me better at this?
All right, I'll think about it. Next show we'll have
Don't think about it, do it. I'm challenging you.
Okay, well next show we'll have a segment, Making Brendan Better.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So thanks, Franco. And then, like I said, we'll do updates throughout, and then donate if you can.
Yes,
I'll
please.
be donating.
Awesome.
And sending you stuff. And I don't know, if we can airdrop with drones, we'll do that. I don't know if that's legal.
I mean, it's probably illegal, but I have to imagine they don't have a really good defense perimeter set up, so we might get away with it.
Probably not. But all right, so let's touch before we talk World Series, which has been insane. Let's talk real quick. Jimmy Garoppolo randomly traded by the Patriots to the 49ers for a second-round pick in the upcoming 2018 draft. My initial thought was, okay, I guess they wanted to get something for him before he hit the free agency market because they thought that he would be obviously not returning to the Patriots, so I guess it makes sense. But apparently they don't think enough of him as the heir apparent to Tom Brady, who has been showing a little sign of his age this NFL season. But I think it's kind of an interesting move. I think it makes sense for the Patriots because you get something for him as opposed to seeing him walk if you really truly don't value him. And quite frankly, your 49ers need somebody to take the snap. So, Franco, what were your thoughts?
Well, I think this was a lot of things coming together at once. There was the rumor that Sam Darnold may not come out next year, making the 49ers' first pick kind of pointless. Additionally, I think the Patriots probably did reach out to the agents of Garoppolo and felt it out and seeing how willing he was to resign. With the chance that Brady may be playing for 3 or 4 more years, and they probably didn't get an answer they liked, so they probably indicated he might be leaving. So, I mean, it's a good move for the 49ers. Garoppolo is a proven starter. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw the now cut 49ers quarterback end up as a Patriots backup in Brian Hoyer. I think it's a great move. I think it's the right move for the 49ers. I think they need to get Garoppolo it makes the Giants 49ers game much more interesting in a few weeks than it would have been otherwise. So good on us. I like Garoppolo. Hopefully he's the guy that Shanahan thinks he's going to be.
I'm going to ask a question. We didn't prep this, so I apologize. But, well, believe it or not, we do prep this show. You have Martavis Bryant, who, for all intents and purposes, is not on the team. I mean, he's been not inactive, coach's decision, and seems, for all intents and purposes, not being part of that team. You also have, this is sort of like a deep cut that I've been seeing reports of, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if the Giants traded Eli Manning to the Jacksonville Jaguars? And while it'd be hilarious, I don't think it's going to happen. But Franco, in your mind, can you think of any other trades that we might see before the deadline approaches? Which deadline comes up in about a week or two. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, well, tomorrow Halloween.
Again, I'm super paying attention. But yeah, so do we get any more trades by tomorrow?
I think we'll see a wide receiver move, and I say that because Bryant's on the trading block, T.Y. Hilton in Indianapolis is on the trading block, as are the rights to Calvin Johnson in Detroit. So I think by tomorrow we'll see one of those three move. The most interesting one for me would be T.Y. Hilton. I think he's by far the more talented of the three, now anyway, because Calvin Johnson was fantastic, but he's been out of the game for a while. I'd be interested to see where he'd go. I think he might end up maybe with a team like the Vikings, who need some help because Stephon Diggs perpetually injured. That might be fascinating. Maybe with the Jaguars, who need receiver help because Allen Hurns is not going to do it. So we'll see. I think we'll see that. I doubt Eli Manning moves in this lifetime.
No, he's not. He's living on legacy.
Yeah.
For sure. But before we move on, we'll talk a little bit more about the NFL at the end of the show, but we should get into the World Series for sure.
Mm-hmm.
World Series has been, for lack of a better term, nuts. It's gone back and forth. It's the most home runs ever, with combining for 22 home runs so far. There's a game 6 as of this recording tomorrow on Halloween. And I think, I'm watching this, and I've been invested a little bit. It's, where I'm living now, so it's been kind of fun to partake in watching the games, especially if I'm out at a bar or out for a restaurant. So I'm a little bit more invested than I normally would be. It's weird to me. I feel like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it's two high-powered offenses, over 100 wins on either side, but you talk a lot about pitching, and pitching seems to be lacking in this series. So before we get a deep dive into that pitching, Franco, what are your just initial thoughts? Is it as weird to you as it is to me, or is it just this is what baseball is now?
I think it's just weird because it hasn't matched the pattern from the last 5 years of World Series, where we've had some pitching battles. Going back to Bumgarner with the Giants, and Kershaw earlier in the year, maybe not in the last part of the year.
Right.
I think it's just an anomaly. I don't think the balls are juiced. I think that's probably an exaggeration or wishful thinking on someone's part to have some sort of conspiracy. I think the games have been fantastic. I think what we're seeing is kind of a result of the teams that are playing. They're both high-powered offenses. Houston has had a wild year anyway, and they get hot and they get streaky. The Dodgers have been suspect. There was that 17-game losing streak in the middle of the year. So I think it's just a combination of the teams we have coming in and what we're seeing.
I think for me, it's just, having grown up in New York and seeing a heavy dose of the Yankees and Mariano Rivera in those games where it was like, 4-3 lead in the 5th, you were like, okay, this is going to be fine, or because they got enough pitching. And then by the time you hit the 8th, you're like, it's over because Mariano's going to come out and close it down. But you have, for all intents and purposes, one of the better closers this season, and Kenley Jansen, from the Dodgers, that has not done well at all. 4.76 ERA so far, 2 blown saves in this World Series. You have Giles on the other side with Houston, who is their closer and has been fantastic during the regular season, who was terrible in the postseason and was intentionally told by A.J. Hinch, the manager of the Astros, you're not pitching regardless of what the situation is last night. So that's where, what about this pitching, Franco? Who do you trust at any point? I think that's what makes it a little bit more intriguing for me to watch Game 6, because it's like at any point, no lead is safe. And there were 3 times, I believe, last night where there were 3-run homers. And it's just insane.
Well, it is insane. I don't know who you can trust. Sub question after the extra inning games the other night. I don't know who's left in bullpens to pitch.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they run the starters in the next game. I think a big part of the bullpen issues is just the experience level. You have two closers who aren't necessarily very experienced in the postseason in a high-pressure situation. And we saw with Kershaw in his first 3 years, kind of leading up to this kind of thing where he struggled in the postseason. I think both closers will eventually be fine in the postseason. They're just not there yet.
So we have and you mentioned that the juiced baseballs that people are throwing around, and that they're a different feel, that they're like slick, like receipt paper, is how I believe it was Verlander described them in an interview. Are we making it too big of a deal out of it? Because you and I've seen, the commemorative balls that they put out every now and then, and they do always feel different. I mean, is that what's happening now? They're like, here's the commemorative version, or I mean, I tend to think that this is just the way the series is going, and that I agree with you. I don't know if it's that big of a deal.
I mean, I do think there's probably a texture difference. Verlander's been pitching for a really long time, so when the ball feels a little different, he's probably going to be one that notices it. He's been deep in the playoffs many a time. So I think that's part of it. I just don't think they're juiced. I think they're a different kind of ball, maybe, because of the way they're designed with the logo and everything else. But I think we're reaching for things to explain something we're not used to seeing, which is very much human nature.
Frank, I don't know if you got a chance to see the fan in the Houston stands that took the Yasiel Puig ball away from the woman and then threw it back. When I saw it happening, I thought I was losing my mind because it was such a long game. I was feeling delusional.
Yeah.
But I've seen the replay, and it is equal parts hilarious, sad, and terrifying. Did you see it live? One, that's the first part. And then two, just what was your reaction if you got a chance to see it?
Kind of the same. A little surprised, a little shocked. I think Major League Baseball is super lucky. One, that there wasn't a confrontation over the ball.
Yeah.
And two, that they cut away from the confrontation after the ball was thrown back in. Because that had a recipe to be really disastrous, especially in a game that's gone long and alcohol is involved. So big dodge bullet there for the league. That guy sucks.
Yeah.
Come on. I get the whole loyalty to the team, throwing the ball back in. But you're at the World Series. You caught a ball hit out of the park in the World Series. Very rarely those balls thrown back in, and to grab it from somebody else, especially someone that's not as aggressive as you or muscular as you, basically being a bully, is just unbecoming. I hope they ban him moving forward, because that guy probably has season tickets or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, loyalty runs deep when you're assaulting a female in the stands to grab a ball. And I hope someone stepped in and gave her a ball after that.
That would be, I hope if it wasn't hopefully it was the Astros organization that can take a moment and recognize that was kind of a really disrespectful thing to do.
Yeah.
And hopefully gave her something, you know what I mean? That would be the nice thing to do. But you make a good point about the alcohol, because another stat from this World Series game that was mind-boggling was that alcohol sales were still going all the way up until the 7th, which is common practice. But with the game that went so long, the beer stands were open for 3 hours and 45 minutes, which you're right. They're lucky that it didn't turn into something a lot worse, because that has the recipe for disaster when you've been stuck watching a very emotional game, just being able to pound drinks if you want. So, but before we transition, Franco, I want to get your prediction. And now I need you to be impartial. I know your love for San Francisco runs deep, but looking at it in the wise way that you do, how do you see this going, and who will be the World Series champions?
I think, totally unbiased, we've kind of seen this before in the World Series where it's an emotional high that kind of leads the team to win. I think we do go 7. I think Houston wins in 7, just because the roller coaster they've been on the season, having the hurricane affect that city and the nice comeback story. I mean, the players are playing with the emotions of an entire city. So I just think they end up triumphing. And I think the Dodgers have been here before, or maybe not here before, but been in the situation before and stumbled. And I think we see that repeat itself.
I agree with you. I think it's Houston. I think because when I'm watching these games, their batters 1 through 7 are quite frankly terrifying. And when you look at the Dodgers, there's been so many there's opportunity, but it hasn't really manifested itself. Bellinger's getting hot now, but there seems to be a lot of spots in there. Returner hasn't really been hitting that well. Puig is random. Who knows how he could go. Peterson's the same way a little bit. So I'm not as scared of that lineup as I am of Houston's, where at any moment it seems like you're going to have 5 runs blow up even from between the first and third batter. So I know that's not possible, but that's how good they are. So I think it's my pick is Houston in 7. I think you're going to get sort of the worst. I guess it is the weirdest way that you can win a championship is when you're the away team playing in the away stadium, and it's just that is the weirdest championship because it's not nearly as entertaining or fun. Like it's not going to be fun if Houston wins like it was when the Cubs won last year when Chicago erupted. So we're going to get a really sad Los Angeles or a very happy Los Angeles, and I think it might be a sad one.
I agree, and we're gonna have to wait 2 days for the actual celebrations to begin. So
I know
we can wait,
but we can wait. But we have a new segment.
We do.
New portion of the show, and actually, let me backtrack. So when we first started this, we said that it's obviously you all know it's called BFF, Brendan and Franco and Friends, and really we haven't emphasized the and the friends part until today. So Franco, I want you to introduce the new friend to the show that we got.
Sure. Also, I would point out that the BFF Show is a name taken by many 12 and 13-year-old girls that do makeup shows. So I'm happy to be probably the oldest pair of TV people that use that phrase. So good for us.
Old. I want old on the bottom here, please.
But yeah, super exciting. We're going to introduce a new segment with a brand new commentator. His YouTube handle is Classy Star Wars Master. So please check it out. When we cut to his video, we'll have it at the end so you can follow it. He is the son of a very good friend of both of us, Patrick Carpenter. So Travis, we'll now cut to your segment with a preview for Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Here, back with another video, and today I'm really excited to be on the BFF show with Brendan and Franco. They asked me to be on it after they saw my YouTube channel because it was on my dad's Facebook page, and they watched my slingshot video, and they left a comment asking if I could be on their show. So I'm gladly going to be on their show, and it's airing this Thursday. I'm talking about Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I really liked the first one. One complaint about it was like you never knew what to do. Like when the drop pods fell, you had to go and get them, but you would get shot. I like how it included Scarif with these guys. I kind of wish that they added a Hoth mode in one of them, and then added this guy. So that's cool. And but the second one came out. Well, the beta came out like October something, and if you pre-order, you get Kylo Ren and Rey, and you get Yoda and his lightsaber. But if you don't, you can purchase them inside the game. You get Darth Maul for free. The beta was awesome. I think it's going to be even better. The game's actually going to be even better. I don't know, I'll be really excited to see this guy in action again, because he's such an amazing character. Well, not character, just vehicle. And you didn't get to see much of him in the original Battlefront game. So, I can't wait for this. It's coming out the 11th. I just can't wait to see everybody in action. Thanks so much, Brendan and Franco, at the BFF show. It's really an honor to be on, and thank you so much. And if it's your first time viewing, can you please go over to my channel at Classy Star Wars Masters. I have 10 subscribers, so please like and view all the videos, and then leave a comment down below in all the videos, and please subscribe if you can. And turn on the notification bell, because if you do that, you get notified of when I upload. And thanks again, Brendan and Franco. I think that they are finally Star Wars Masters, so peace out, Star Wars Masters. Even if it's your first time, I'm calling you Star Wars Masters, so peace out.
Okay, that was fantastic.
Thank you, Travis. As always. Well, not as always. Maybe come back.
Yeah.
Do another video. Why not? Have some fun. Let's turn to the NFL. And I quite frankly, Franco, I failed you as a broadcast partner because I didn't watch any games in the NFL. I saw the Raiders score and the Bills, and that was sad, so I didn't want to watch anything. I saw a little bit, like literally 2 minutes of Washington and Dallas, and that looked sad. But you picked out at least one major highlight from this week.
I mean, super weird week, especially for fantasy football, where you had 6 defenses kind of score near the top of the top 10 in rankings. But I think the one thing everybody's talking about now is Deshaun Watson. And when Dabo Swinney came out and said, next Michael Jordan, everybody kind of laughed him off. But this was supposed to be the matchup that tripped him up. The Seahawks are a very good passing defense, and he answered with 4 touchdowns, and they almost beat them. So I think moving forward, Deshaun Watson, one, is startup or matchup proof in fantasy football. I think you start him no matter what. So much so that I actually traded away Drew Brees to go with Deshaun Watson the rest of the season.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I think Dabo Swinney wasn't wrong. I think he's a really good. He may not be the next Michael Jordan because we have that, and his name's Tom Brady. But I think he's going to have a very long career. And I really hate currently people that are making the comparison to RG3. And the problem with that is that they're 2 very different players. Yes, they're both African American quarterbacks, but beyond that, that's where it kind of ends. Deshaun Watson's much more in the mold of like an Alex Smith, or a quarterback that plays very smart, can run, but doesn't always, or even an Aaron Rodgers, but can use his legs to make plays. And I think what you see from him in the ability to read defenses and react and really assess the situation is way ahead of time for a rookie, probably the best rookie we've seen in a really long time. So I think he's legit.
And it just goes to show, too, the dark pit of sadness that the Cleveland Browns are in. Had the opportunity? No. Carson Wentz had the opportunity? No. Traded that pick away. It's just depressing at this point, the amount of quarterbacks that they've tried, and insane that they've missed on so many.
Yeah, and it's not that Njoku's going to be a bad pick or Peppers is necessarily going to be bad. Peppers doesn't look like he's a fit for the NFL yet. And while Njoku's flashed, tight ends tend to take a couple of years to really develop. So it wasn't a move to make them better now. And I think I have a hard time conceptualizing, while I like DeShone Kizer, how you take a quarterback who got benched the senior year in college for attitude problems and production and the ability to read defenses and pass on a guy that's won national champions 2 years in a row. So yeah, I'm sorry, Cleveland. I don't have much to offer you to make up for it, but it's been a rough for you.
And then real quick, obviously a fantasy staple, Franco, if you can give some quick advice, who are you buying this week?
Will Fuller, which is a wide receiver on the Texans. Before, I kind of had the feeling that there's no way he can sustain this rate of a touchdown every game, because at one point he actually had as many touchdown catches as he had actual catches. But it's pretty apparent this last game he had 5 receptions, which is a pretty good sign, and 2 touchdowns. So I'm buying Will Fuller.
And who are you selling this week?
That's a really hard one, but I'm going to sell Doug Martin. And I realize I just traded for Doug Martin, but I needed depth. But I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is really struggling right now, and I don't think it's sustainable. I think you're not going to get the return you would have on Doug Martin normally when the year first started. So if you can sell him now before his stats really tank and they really struggle, I'd do it.
And before we wrap up, I saw a movie. I almost choked. I saw a movie, The Foreigner, with Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Franco, you need to see this film.
Okay.
It is I would describe it as a very traditional action film, directed by Martin Campbell, same guy who did GoldenEye. It's traditional in the sense that a lot of action films that you see are like, let's just try to cram as many explosions for no reason as possible, and then these ludicrous escalating situations a la Fast and Furious franchise. This is just down and gritty. It is the story of a man whose daughter gets killed in a terrorist bombing in London and leads him to the IRA in Ireland. And not to go too deep into it, but you find out that in a very Liam Neeson-taken way, he's got skills that make him a nightmare for the IRA. So, but in a way that's not as ludicrous as Taken, where You don't really have any clue. That was my one complaint with Taken. You have a general sense he was an agent, I believe, or special forces, but you don't see him really apply it more than just shooting people. This one is more, they portray him as a survivalist, utilizing the skills he learned as a Green Beret in the United States Army, so that in a way it makes sense why a man that old can fight against men half his age, because he uses smarts, he uses jungle tactics, he uses traps. Again, in a way that Taken kind of took a lot of liberties with. They were just like, well, just make him an army guy. And then that's why he can punch out 20-year-olds, even though he's clearly in his late 50s, early 60s as Liam Neeson. I love Liam Neeson. Taken movie, awesome. Taken 2 is okay. Taken 3, I actually have not seen. But this is one of those movies where I think you will actually feel like this makes sense, which is very rare. And Pierce Brosnan is awesome as a villain. He has his Irish accent down on lockdown. He curses up a storm. It's truly an R-rated film, and it's a dark Jackie Chan film, which he really can pull it off. And it's solid and has a satisfying ending where it was the first time all year I've walked out of a film where I went, that was really cool. I get exactly all the motivations, and I don't need to see anything else. This wrapped it up. So if you can see a film soon, see The Foreigner. It's still in theaters. It should still be in by the time this airs. So that's my recommendation. Franco, do we have time for anything else?
We have a little time. What 2-minute segment do you want to get in?
What 2 minutes? Oh, have you? I had got. I'm still playing. Just a quick update. I'm still playing the classic Super Nintendo.
Yep.
I'm still playing Earthbound like a maniac. I keep forgetting how weird it is and how existential and philosophical the game is, which clearly when I was 12 playing it went right over my head. And I've enjoyed that, but I'm looking forward to a new video game release. The Fractured But Whole South Park game.
Okay.
Looking forward to that. New Assassin's Creed came out Friday.
I saw.
Super Mario Galaxy came out. I don't have that system, but it plays like in the Super Mario 64. And then LA Noire, which I loved when I had it 5 years ago, is coming back out in 2 weeks as a remastered game for PS4 and Xbox One. So, Franco, did you play LA Noire?
I did. I really enjoyed it.
It was fun, right?
I think it was definitely limited by the graphics engines at the time, so I'm really excited to see it on a higher level.
I'm excited to incorrectly accuse someone and then have them scream, or my favorite moments of the game are when you lightly accuse. I forget the 3 options that you have. But inevitably, regardless of what you choose, your character yells, and that's the funniest part. It's like just lightly suggested. He's like, "You did it, you animal!" And he curses, and then you have to go, that doesn't seem like the right choice. But anyway, yeah. So go play those games. I'm gonna get LA Noire, see if I like it as much as I did 6 years ago.
Okay.
And then other than that, Franco, what did you learn today?
I learned that it's so normal now for you to wear a tank top and me to wear a dinosaur headband that not one of us commented on the existence of either. So we've come a long way. What'd you learn?
Actually, I was going to pick up on that as what I learned as well, is that we don't need to, we got so much content, pure content, that we don't need to pick on each other's outfits. And I think we've grown as friends.
I agree. Really put it in BFF and BFF.
Oh, yeah. Look at you putting the tag on for it. You start the goodbye first this time, not me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your viewership. For the BFF Show, I'm Franco.
And I'm Brendan.
Peace.
Peace.